Now, I don't mean to exaggerate, but Zuko had one of the best, most satisfying character arcs in television history. If you've seen the show, you probably agree. But there's way more to his story than we've seen, and there's a big question that needs to be answered. We know Zuko as basically three characters: the moody, banished Fire Prince, the reformed, self-proclaimed good guy, and an awesome old man. But what happened to him between the events of the two Avatar shows? We know that he had a daughter, Izumi, who eventually became Fire Lord, and a grandson who sounded exactly like him. But why don't we know who Izumi's mother is? Is it the obvious answer, or could there be more to the story? Let's discuss. Can you believe just how much Zuko grew as a character? Who knew that the angsty, violent brat who wouldn't shut up about honor in the first season would have one of the best redemption stories ever seen on TV? Zuko went through a lot during the events of The Last Airbender, and even though he almost became the Fried Prince instead of the Fire Prince after Azula hit him with some lightning bending in the finale, he recovered and became the new Fire Lord. And by all accounts, he seemed like a pretty fair ruler. It's safe to say that he was 10 times better than the previous few Fire Lords, right? The next time we see Zuko on screen, it's as an old man in The Legend of Korra. And seeing him show up in that show and explain how he used to be the Avatar's enemy made my heart so warm and happy that Jet would accuse me of being a firebender if he saw me. But what happened during the 70 years between The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra? Yes, the big question about Zuko is what he found out about the location of his mother. That was the original show's big cliffhanger, and man, that's a fascinating story to be sure. But it's not what we're here to discuss today. Today is all about love. Who did Zuko end up with, and who's the mother of his daughter Izumi, aka the future Fire Lord? The answer is, without a doubt, 100% Katara! Wait, stop throwing cabbages at me! It kinda makes sense, right? Remember when I mentioned Zuko getting electrified in the finale? Well, that was only because he was diving in front of Katara to save her life, because Katara for some reason stayed super close to the battlefield and trusted the word of a psychopath. That is something you do for a person you love. Still not convinced? Remember the Ember Island Players play? When reenacting Zuko and Katara's capture at Ba Sing Se, the play hinted that there was a lot of romantic tension between the two, and then it cut to Zuko and Katara awkwardly avoiding eye contact. Come on, you know those two at least thought about it. I mean, Katara and Zuko went on a life-changing journey hunting the man who killed Katara's mother. If that doesn't spell romance, I don't know what does. Oh, wait, now I remember. Katara sort of ended up with Aang and had 3 kids with him. Oh, that's right. All right. Let's just forget Katara. But all I'm saying is, if Aang wasn't in the picture, Katako? Zuara? One of those would totally be a thing. So, okay, now let's talk about the most obvious choice. In Season 3, Zuko began a complicated relationship with Mai. You know her, she's the gloomy girl who sighs a lot. And that may sound like an insult, but to Zuko, both of those are extremely attractive qualities apparently. Mai and Zuko's love story may not be as rough buddy as the pesky turning into the moon problem that Sokka had with his girlfriend, but the Zuko and Mai romance certainly had its shares of ups and downs. The two knew each other since they were kids, and it's clear that there was some puppy love type feelings between the two. And you know, maybe that could have led somewhere if the manipulative Azula wasn't always around, seemingly taking enjoyment out of actively sabotaging their young love. Fast forward to their teen years, and once Zuko is welcomed back to the Fire Nation, he and Mai officially start dating. When I first saw them together, it was surprising, but the more you think about it, the more it totally makes sense. But then Zuko just had to go and grow a conscience. Don't you hate it when that happens? He realized his destiny was to help the Avatar defeat his father, which meant Zuko probably couldn't stick around the Fire Nation for family dinners anymore. How unfortunate. He left without saying goodbye to his girlfriend, which rightfully made her pretty upset. You would think that would be the end of the relationship, but nope. Mai sacrificed herself to help Zuko escape the boiling rock, and then, by the end of the series, Zuko and Mai were reunited and they got to be a moody, angsty couple once more. Some would say that's the end of the story, and Mai eventually became Izumi's mother. But is that really the case? Sure, it's the obvious answer, but what if there's a big swerve? Is there another option? Let's break down a few other possibilities. Everyone loves to speculate how Sokka is actually the father of Toph's second kid, but I'm calling it right now, it's all misdirection. Zuko is the one with the actual surprise wife, and the constant rumblings of a Toph and Sokka pairing is just a big distraction for the true story. Do I sound crazier than Sokka on cactus juice? Probably, but let's keep going. The first name I'll throw out might cause some controversy, but please hear me out. What if Suki was actually Izumi's mother and Zuko's future wife? Yeah, I know, that sounds like blasphemy. Suki and Sokka were #end goals, right? But wait a second. As I said, there's a huge fan theory that Sokka is the father of Toph's second kid, which we all want to be true, but if it is, that means Suki is no longer in the picture. So why would Suki and Sokka not end up together? Well, I'll turn to the comics for inspiration. A year after the 100-year war ended, Suki and the other Kyoshi warriors were assigned to protect Zuko after a few assassination attempts. During this time, Suki and Zuko grew close as Suki became concerned about his well-being. And let's not forget that during this time, Zuko was secretly visiting his father in prison, and because he was being so secretive with Mai ended up breaking up with him. Look, all I'm saying is that it's not out of the realm of possibility that the Zuki love started growing during this time, and that would later blossom into a full relationship. Could you see these two falling in love? Both are great fighters, natural leaders, and can be incredibly scary when the situation calls for it. And actually, believing this theory makes me feel so much better about the whole Sokka and Toph thing. I'm a big believer in the Sokka and Toph relationship, and I just always assumed the worst. Given Sokka's luck with women, I was waiting for Suki to turn into, Mercury or something. But with this suggestion that Suki just went on to end up with Zuko instead, that's a much better ending. Who else would be a good option for the mother of Zuko's children? Alright, let's throw out another name. How about, Jin. Do you know Jin? Sweet, lovable Jin. Alright, I'll give you a second to see if you remember who this is. But if you don't remember Jin, she's the girl who Zuko went on a date with in his section of the Tales of Ba Sing Se episode. Remember how nice this girl was? She'd come to the tea shop so often that Zuko actually thought she was a spy who knew that they were from the Fire Nation. Obviously, that wasn't the case. The only thing Jin was spying on was Zuko's dreamy eyes. Well, I mean his dreamy eye. Anyway, they end up going on a date and things just go horribly. If you ever had the burning question of whether Zuko could juggle or not, the answer is definitely no. At the end of their date, Jin took Zuko to see Firelight Fountain, which was one of her favorite spots in the city. But then, she was disappointed to learn the fountains weren't lit. Zuko told her to close her eyes, and when she did, Zuko used firebending to light the lanterns. When she opened her eyes again, she was in awe of the fountains. They kissed, but then Zuko abruptly ended the date by saying his situation was complicated and left her alone. Now, some people who see this could mistakenly believe that this is the end of the story. I'm not saying these people are wrong, I'm just saying that they're the same people who believe there is no war in Ba Sing Se. Just saying. Here is the actual truth. After Zuko became Fire Lord, Zuko and Jin reconnected and fell in love, and she's the mother of Izumi. Alright, I definitely need to stop drinking this cactus juice. Just one more sip. Okay, 2 more sips. Anyway, where was I? Oh, right, hear me out about Jin. Here is my theory. She secretly knew that Zuko was from the Fire Nation. It's why she didn't question his obviously fake backstory about being in a circus and why she was so happy at the fountains. It's either that or living in the Earth Kingdom had left too many rocks in her head. So you're telling me that if you live in a world with bending powers and you're with someone who has a burn on their face and then that person has you close their eyes and when you open them again the lanterns around you are magically lit with fire? And your first thought isn't how this person is obviously a firebender? Man, side note, Jet was so stupid. His strategy to get Zuko to admit that he was a firebender was basically to shout at him until he admitted it. Next time, Jet, just have a pretty girl be sad about some fountains and Zuko will freely show off his firebending skills. But anyway, if Jin secretly knew Zuko was a firebender and was accepting of that, it makes that scene so much sweeter. And it breaks my heart even more for Zuko to run away from Jin because of how complicated his life was. So let's play this out. After the series, Jin sees a picture of Zuko and realizes she went on a date with the Fire Lord. Somehow they reconnect and go on another date, with Zuko taking her back to those very fountains and lighting them for her again. And from there, the rest is history. Oh man, headcanon accepted! At least this theory makes me forget how sad Zuko's story is in the Tales of Ba Sing Se episode. I need to watch another story in that episode to cheer me up. How about Uncle Iroh's story? That one was a cheerful one, right? Right? Okay, who else? Any other opinions? How about, June? Oh yeah, June is a good choice. She's tough, she's feisty, she comes with a giant shirshu. What's not to like about her? Like seriously, that shirshu is the most useful animal on the Avatar's planet and can track anyone in the entire world. Yeah, June is definitely a contender, right? Okay, fine. I just like the shirshu, okay? Izumi's mother is probably not June because June is destined to live an awesome nomad life doing whatever the heck she wants. Alright, I admit, some of these choices are wild, but it just goes to prove how invested we are in Zuko's life. Us fans just want to know more about him and make sure that he wound up happy. And thankfully, even though we don't know exactly who he ended up with, it's clear that Zuko lived a good life and even had a seemingly great daughter that continued this new era of a more peaceful Fire Nation. And really, that's all that matters. Well, I just found some more cactus juice, so I'm gonna go drink this and speculate on more options. I'll get back to you. So who do you think Izumi's mother is? Is it the obvious choice, or do you think that there could be more to the story? Let us know in the comments below and tell us who your favorite ship in the Avatar universe is. Thanks for watching CBR. See you next time.